Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the House's third annual JEDx. We would like to introduce you to a very special person to us who is a mentor, a friend, and a helping hand to everyone and anyone who's ever set foot inside the House.
There are few better to speak about no compromises than the House's founder and executive director, Rabbi Rafi Lipner. For those of you who know Rabbi Lipner, you understand that he has countless ideas and thoughts. And one of those ideas led to the creation of the House. Once upon a time, Rabbi Lipner dreamt of providing meaningful Jewish education beyond the confines of a classroom. Today, in its 11th anniversary, the House has engaged over 2,000 young adults in dynamic and creative programming, instilling in every participant the House's goal that you leave the House more than you were when you came in. Please help us in welcoming Rabbi Lipner to the stage.
So just a little context, because this is overwhelming. The House started, aside from a kitschy little logo, and 8 people sitting around the room. And over time grew 20 people. Then when different notable speakers started to come to town, Dershowitz and others, 50, 60 people, we eventually outgrew the spaces as we started to go around the city, 80, 90 around different holidays, and the truth is I don't think I would ever believe it. Then eventually JEDx, which we'll speak about shortly, which actually was so big in our venue we couldn't actually hold it. We had to order a tent at the last second. And tonight, wow, 550 tickets. It's amazing. Do you know why it's amazing? Because anyone who knows about Jewish identity and organizations, the more tickets we sell, the more one-track mind. Although, if you do want to make a donation, you're more than welcome to at this point. I'll pause. You can do it online. We actually have a donor that said they'll give 1% of all the funds raised. So if you want to, take 2. Now, the more tickets we sell from the House really sees it as the more people we inspire. You don't sell tickets and fill seats in order to just raise money. The question is, what do you do it for? And the House never believed, as my board, to their chagrin, would always say, I don't care enough about the money sometimes. Luckily, I'm surrounded by people that do. But it's really about inspiring the next generation. So what exactly is JEDx and what's No Compromise is all about? We'll do a little bit of audience participation. Name that movie. Jerry Maguire. Very good. Who stars in Jerry Maguire? Tom Cruise. Very good. Stay with me. Now, is Tom Cruise the only one who stars in the movie? No, there are others. I had to Google them, but one's that guy, Gooding. Another one, I don't know which one that is. Who is it? Okay, and the other one is another one. All right, they're all people. They're in the movie, but nobody mentioned them. You mentioned Tom Cruise. But the truth is, if you have seen the movie, are those really all the important people that are in the movie? It's a football movie, for God's sakes. How many people are in the movie? Okay, anyone want to name any of them? Of course not. You don't name those people because we have one name for them. They're called the extras. The ones that sort of are in the background that don't really matter, kind of like the importance of having 500 people here because, to be honest, if it was just me, you, and the board, it'd be kind of awkward. So luckily, we have lots of people. Even if you don't know them, they just sort of fill the seats. It feels kind of good. And we often feel that people are extras in life. What's a people of no compromises? A people of no compromises is about where our history goes when it tries to describe the value of a human being. The most live shot I can get of Abraham. So Abraham was one guy in a world which thought completely, diametrically opposed to all of his values and beliefs. And anybody would normally say, what are you even trying to go ahead and do that for? Everyone's against you. No one will believe in your mission. But Lech Lecha, he started to walk. But he couldn't have achieved the mission on his own. He was given a blessing. And the blessing said that your children will be like stars of the sky. Now, on one level, that could mean that they're going to have many kids. right? We might not be the largest of nations, but we have quite a few people. I'm doing my part. My wife and I have 8 kids. We're trying to make sure that we have a lot of stars. Yeah, she's killing me right now for saying that. I'm sorry, Shaarei. But I don't think it's just talking about numbers. I think perhaps what it means is that the Jewish people don't believe there's any such thing as extras. Rather, everybody's destined to be a star. And I think that's what JEDx is about. JEDx, back in the green room behind there, are really ordinary people, sorry for calling you ordinary, who use their values to become extraordinary. And that, I think, is part of what JEDx is about. Realizing when we often don't have the time to stop and think about it, that we come from such a rich tradition that can turn something so plain and ordinary, our work, our life, our day-to-day, and make it extraordinary. But when does greatness emerge? After all, you got to find great speakers. When does greatness emerge? When there are no compromises? When the stakes are high. It's the only image I could find. The higher the stakes are at your values, the stronger the message that it sends to people around you. Whether it happens to be with Israel and realizing that always the stakes are high, and to be able to take a country that's driven on its values and desire to succeed, and to show that its innovation isn't just about moving forward, but it's about a country that can sit there and help the entire world and doesn't compromise. When you have someone in their professional life who has to sit there and sometimes, ordinarily, make choices between professional, personal, communal, and finds a way not to compromise, but rather incorporate that. When the stakes are high after certain situations that a person lives through and has to find a way to draw on their tradition and their faith to turn something that would probably stop the majority of people and be a light, not just to her own self and family, but to really the nation and the world. And to have someone, a kid, who's just starting on his road to greatness and not saying been there, done that, but starting to make those real decisions about what are those things that he's going to go down and make his extraordinary life surrounded around as well. So the house puts on JEDx because I think the house is really about no compromises. Within the world of Jewish values and identity, often what's said is you got to water it down a little bit. Kids these days, they don't really care so much. The house believes the opposite, that if it's presented in a way that's relevant, inspiring, meaningful, and worthwhile, then the truth is if you stand up for those values and don't hide it, don't slip it in someone's drink when they're coming out really just to have a drink and network, but say that there's actually values that can inspire and enhance one's life, then that's when I think it really makes a difference. So the house, straight on its website, you can go see it, core values, education, growth, Jewishness, not selling itself through, hey, come on out, have a great time, you'll meet great people. I'm shocked when I look in the audience and see how many unbelievable people are sitting here who are coming because these values resonate when the Pew Reports in the world thinks that it doesn't. But the house never compromised when it was 8 people, and it said these are the values that we're going to stick by. And as with any organization, you have to ask your question, well, does it work? One of my mentors once said, if you're going to try something and it doesn't work and you really care about the Jewish people and it's not working, then close it down, rather than continue creating the problem. So when the house sits down and thinks, is it working? Tonight we have 550 reasons to say that it is, which is really unbelievable. And the house has its stars as well, because any organization is really just a mission, but it's the people behind that, our own stars, that are part of the original stars of our people that help make what's here. We had amazing co-chairs. Melissa in her 2nd year, Josh taking on his 1st year, he'll be looking for another young lady to go ahead and accompany him next year, see him afterwards. A fantastic committee, I won't ask you to stand up, of 40 young professionals who without which this would not have happened, because captains always need people who are part of the team, and thank you for them for taking their time when they could dedicate it to any cause and investing it in this exact type of thing. To our unbelievable board and our young leadership who've taken the ranks and the fold of what it is that we're trying to build and really built something that's much bigger than any one vision could have imagined. We have to thank our dedicated supporters, the people who invested and believed their energy, their money, their time. We'll continue to hopefully realize that this is just the beginning. And like BTO said, you ain't seen nothing yet. And obviously the stellar staff, which usually doesn't get note, and I do have to make special mention, not just because her parents are here, but Sam, who really did an unbelievable job. Have to admit I was a little scared of her today, but she said that it's normal. But there's one other group of stars. The other group of stars really are you people, are the people that keep coming out. And I see someone pointing at the screen right now. Because when I say there are stars in the room of the house, it's not hyperbole. But who would have thought that 7 years ago, Noah Buckman, who was sitting on the floor at the house for events and classes about Jewish values and priorities, he couldn't have imagined that one day he'd be responsible to creating a program like JEDx, which would engage over 3 years nearly 1,000 people to appreciate the same values that he'd learned to appreciate from his upbringing, the house, and other factors. And I bet you that when Noah Buckman decided to go ahead and create JEDx, not only did he not know that it existed, but he didn't realize that one of the stars speaking on stage would be Mike Katchen, who would actually be speaking about his values 7 years later after he started to become one of those people who didn't compromise on his values and where he came from as well because of his parents who are here and his upbringing and hopefully some of the experiences that he had at the house as well. So the real stars that Abraham was promised with wasn't his children, it was the future children. It was all of us in this room, the 2,000 people over the 11 short years that the house has been around, and hopefully the tens of thousands. Next year we're going for Massey Hall. If we can find a donor to cover the cost, because it's really expensive. That was a hint. The real stars, let's be honest, hopefully, is every single person here. No compromises means that in a world which pulls you in so many different directions and tries to pull you away in this direction and that direction, and we know that Jewish values in the world stage sometimes might not be the most favorable. But the truth is, if you stand for it and stand for it tall, people learn to respect that. You end up with gatherings like this. And imagine if every single person in this room became the stars that we have here tonight, then I think that realistically what we're going to see is a transformation of not only what the Jewish people are like, but the world as well. I want to thank every single person for coming out this evening. And without further ado, let's begin.